I've brought up before how information has, for the most part, always been proprietary. Este, information has always belonged to institutions, whether churches, colleges, governments, whatever, libraries, right? But not even just in the modern times. Let's go way back before modern times, because now we have abundance of information. But let's go prior to the abundance of information, right? Let's go 1,000 years ago. So 1,000 years ago, there were books, but they were scarce. And that is why churches and institutions like this would have libraries and preserve them. You know, because if not for churches, if not for some of these institutions, and I don't mean just specifically the churches, but institutions throughout time that have preserved writings and scripts and scrolls and tablets and whatever they could, for the same reason is that there is valuable information in those tablets, books, scripts, etc. You know, and I used to kind of see that as a negative, but now as I started digging in a little bit, I kind of got a better picture as they were guardians of the information. You know, because in some ways, when we think about information being proprietary, that it belongs to somebody, that information belonged to the church for thousands of years. How could that be? But see, it all comes back to how we're thinking. If I'm thinking that way, I'm thinking aggressively, negatively to why didn't they? Okay. But what if we say they were preserving that information throughout the ages of tumult, throughout the ages of war and conquest and destruction? These institutions, let's say like the Roman Catholic Church, has preserved so much stuff, so much information, so many artifacts, because they had the power to do so. For instance, the Roman Catholic Church, you know. But even before the Roman Catholic Church, the Jewish people, the Hebrews, kept meticulous records, and their standards went way back. See, as we can see the big picture, we look at where writing started, when it started, and as we move along the timeline, as people spread out and these ideas get spread out and far and wide, if something has utility to it, it will last. It will continue to be used, and it will continue to be improved upon like a tool. So as writing was there was so much utility to writing that over the ages it got improved to where it became where it was a point to where only, of course, again with the institutions, the kings and kingdoms and rich people and these folks who were loyal to the crowns and this and that, only they could get an education. But for the same reason is that the kingdom, quote unquote, in quotes, the church, kept the records. They knew how to teach people how to read. But until the point to where it got enough to be able to teach in the masses, so we go way back, way back. This sort of stuff is only available to certain people, nobles and those type of things, Never mind the religious aspects of the book that we call the Bible. Never mind those parts of it. Let's look at it as what it contains. It contains thousands of years of information, but in one compact, form, one compact place, where you can see the story of this man, a bloodline of this specific bloodline of people throughout the thousands of years of time. That's pretty awesome record keeping, So regardless of the religious aspect about it, there's the information that is in there is important in many ways, but it's a miracle. It's a miracle in and of itself that this book that we call the Bible is what it is and was made the way it was when it was at the moment of time that it was. That book, outside of the religious part, that book has helped educate the world literate in literacy. I don't know. Literacy, to learn to read, right? So the Roman Catholic Church, right? When we think of Rome and we think of Roman Catholic Church, their mission was to go out and to spread this story, this book's information to the furthest corners of the world, and at the same time bringing education of literacy, how to read. They brought, this new thing to places in the world that would have probably never had access to anything like that.